I'm Ann Perry, Area Director for AFSP Michigan.
And I'm Corbin Stanley, Board Chair for AFSP Michigan.
And we would like to welcome you all to the Michigan High Schools Campus Walk for 2021. We know that teenage years can be difficult. These are rough times under normal circumstances. But with the last year and all that we've endured, we know that the mental health of our youth have been on our minds even more lately. The good news is that there are steps that we can take to help empower our youth and help them make mental health and suicide prevention a priority. We also know that there are steps that we can take within our school to make sure that we create a safe environment for students. We'll get into a little bit more about what all of that means, but I'd like to throw it over to Corbin, who is also a researcher, and I want to talk about how we know that suicide is the second leading cause of death for this age group. Can you shed a little bit of light on that, and in particular, what role, if any, COVID has played when it comes to suicide rates in our teens?
Of course. So we know that, as you said, suicide is the second leading cause of death for young people ages 15 to 24. And while we have seen reports of depression and anxiety and stress among youth increase throughout the pandemic, we have not seen that translate into increased suicide deaths. So the data we have from 2020 for both Michigan and nationally show that we have not seen an increase in suicides among youth or among any age group. And so that's good news. And it means that people are reaching out, people are connecting, people are having conversations about mental health, and that's making a difference. And so while we should definitely be on the lookout for warning signs, which we'll talk about in a minute, and be bolstering protective factors in schools and everywhere where youth live, learn, and play, we know that suicides have not increased as a result of the pandemic, and that's good news.
Definitely good news. Thank you, Corbin. And now we're going to hear a few words from Jim Adams, our board secretary at AFSP Michigan. Jim lost his son, Morgan, many years ago, but he also has an interesting take on things because he now works in a school in Detroit. So we'll hear from Jim now.
Hello, I'm Jim Adams. I'm on the board of directors with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention here in Michigan. I also work at University of Detroit Jesuit High School and Academy as the communications director. Our oldest son, Morgan, graduated from U of D High School in 2012. He went on to college after U of D. About 3 months into college, Morgan died by suicide. We didn't know at that time that he was silently battling depression and had been doing so for quite a few years, all through his high school years. Losing Morgan was a profound tragedy to our family. It also had a significant impact on all of his friends and still does today. It wasn't until after his death that we educated ourselves about suicide, the warning signs, and there were many of them that we missed, that we wrote off as just being a teenage boy. My job as communications director, I've been involved with our counseling department at U of D High School in suicide prevention and suicide education programs. And we try to teach our students that and impress upon them that the best thing they can do is reach out. There are so many people willing to help. If they're struggling, reach out. For students who aren't struggling, we make sure that they are aware of the warning signs, because friends are often the first people to realize something is wrong. And they are the ones who are able to reach out to someone and say, hey, my friend, I think he needs help or she needs help. I've also tried to take other initiatives, like on the back of our IDs, the Suicide Prevention Lifeline and the Crisis Text Line. This is something very simple and is about to be state law. So something simple like this could potentially save a life at your school as well. So look after one another, support one another, and remember, suicide is preventable. Thank you.
And so as Jim talked about, there are some warning signs that you can look out for if you lose a loved one to suicide, or if you're worried about somebody who might be experiencing a suicidal crisis. These 3 types of warning signs are some of the things that you can look out for, and they include talk, behavior, and mood. So when it comes to talk, basically you want to be looking for things that a person might say that might indicate that they're in distress. These might be things that they communicate directly or indirectly, perhaps some more subtle things that they might say. They might talk about being a burden to others or experiencing unbearable pain. They might explicitly talk about ending their lives. And so these are things that you just want to look out for. In terms of behavior, you're looking for things that deviate from the typical behavior for that particular person. And so everybody's different, but you want to look out for things, again, that are different for that particular person. So they might be engaging in risky behaviors. They might be withdrawing from activities they typically enjoy. They might be withdrawing from friends or family members, isolating themselves. And so those are some of the behaviors you want to look out for. And then in terms of mood, you want to look for sudden changes in mood, especially if they're sort of uncharacteristic for that person. It could be a loss of interest in activities they typically enjoy, increased irritability, anxiety. And the important thing here is to trust your gut. There's no perfect combination or number of warning signs that you want to look for over a certain period of time, but just trusting your gut and knowing that if you're concerned about somebody, that's a sure sign that you should reach out. And what we've talked about a lot here today is empowering youth to be able to talk to their peers, to talk to their friends and family members, and to be able to use their voice to create change. And last year, we had the opportunity to work with Howell High School students during our State Capitol Day event. And during this event, they brought with them some faculty members to our state capitol here in Lansing, and were able to engage with legislators and their staffers around advocacy for suicide prevention. So we have a short video from Howell High School students who are going to talk a little bit about their experience.
Hi, my name is Gabby DiNatale, and I'm an English teacher here at Howell High School, and I advocate for suicide prevention because in 2003, I lost a student very close to me to suicide, and I saw the devastating effects that his death had on our entire community. And since then, I've worked tirelessly to bring suicide prevention efforts to Howell High School. And one of those efforts was to send students to the Capitol to advocate for suicide prevention laws and reforms.
I advocate for suicide prevention because I don't want to lose any more classmates. I thought it was really cool to meet with legislators to talk about these issues because I really want to make a difference, and I felt like that was accomplished that day last year.
Hi, I'm Amy Pashak. I'm an assistant principal at Howell High School, and I was part of the staff that brought a group of students from Howell High School to the Capitol Day, and I really appreciate American Foundation for Suicide Prevention giving our students the opportunity to use their voice to advocate for suicide prevention. Me personally, I have been affected by suicide by losing a student almost 2 years now to suicide, and it was absolutely devastating for me personally and our school community. So I applaud the efforts of American Suicide Prevention, and I also encourage any school considering allowing students to come to Capitol Day to do it. Their voice was heard. We met with legislators, and it was a very powerful event. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ethan Binns. I'm a junior at Howell High School and a member of the Lighthouse. I advocate for suicide prevention because I've seen the devastating effects of suicide, and I have personally dealt with depression and anxiety. At the Capitol Day advocacy event, it was really amazing because we got to meet with legislators and create a meaningful and impactful change.
Hi, I'm John Stoll, Howell High School Student Services Advisor. I advocate for suicide prevention because I've seen the negative impact suicide can have on a school and a community. Last year's Capitol Advocacy Day was a great experience for our students and staff to be able to meet with legislators at the local level and have a positive impact.
My name is Lily Mick, and I advocated last year because I know that each life matters and losing one can affect so many. I really liked advocating since it let me know that my voice is heard and it does matter. Thank you.
And in addition to the great work that they have done as far as advocacy is concerned, Howell High School has also held many fundraisers over the years. They have hosted several campus walks for us. This year, they'll be hosting a Pause for Prevention event, I believe, in the fall. So we're very grateful for all that they do and for prioritizing suicide prevention, but also for supporting survivors of loss as well at their school. So we thank them. They have also brought in many of our programs into their school over the years. And so we kind of want to touch a little bit about that so that parents and caregivers and educators are aware of what we have to offer in that world. So Corbin, let's talk a little bit first about the programs specific for that kind of age group and that audience. I know we have More Than Sad and It's Real. Can you talk a bit about what those programs are?
Yeah, of course. So we have a number of different programs that we offer, both in person and virtually. We've been able to transition a lot of our programming virtually over the last year and a half. And so our More Than Sad program is something that we offer free to schools to train educators, parents, and teens about the warning signs for suicide and how to help those who might be struggling. So we have 3 different versions of that presentation. We have one for faculty and staff and educators that's sort of a 2-hour training that provides them, again, with some of those warning signs and things to look out for and how to support their students. We have one for parents, and then we also have one for teens to help them and empower them to support their friends who may be struggling as well. We also have our It's Real program, and that's targeted toward college students, and it talks about college and the mental health experience. So being able to kind of navigate some of the challenges that come with the college experience and prioritizing mental health throughout college. And again, we're able to offer these virtually and in person, and you can visit our website at afsp.org/Michigan to reach out and get some of that programming in your school. There's also an email address on your screen there, afspmiprogramming@gmail.com, and we're happy to coordinate with you to get some programming done in your school. And then in addition to that, we also have a number of resources available to schools, both to prevent suicide and to respond if unfortunately something does happen in the school. So we have our After a Suicide Toolkit that's available to schools. If they do experience a loss, it guides them through the postvention process, so helping students to grieve in a safe and effective way and responding in those crisis situations. Then we have our model school district policy, and this is something that, again, we offer both of these free of charge, and that model school policy focuses on prevention, so sort of preventing crises from happening in the first place, intervention, so intervening when students might be in crisis, and postvention, how to respond if something does happen. And so we have been able to send this out to a lot of schools recently. We sent a mailer to all of the high schools throughout Michigan last month, and we sent that to every high school in the state of Michigan, and we received responses from a lot of schools in Michigan wanting some of these resources and wanting some of these programs in their schools. For example, we heard from Henry Ford Academy in Dearborn, and we sent them some resources and posters, and they've put those up in their schools. And they're excited to welcome students back in person next week, and they'll have these posters that say "Suicide Stops Here" throughout their school, and we're providing them with a number of other resources as well. And again, we're happy to provide all of these resources free of charge to any schools who are interested in doing this kind of work.
We think it's wonderful, seeing those posters up in the high school. And we've seen a lot of great work happening at other high schools throughout the state as well. Stony Creek High School in Rochester, they have held many different events for us over the years, fundraising events and awareness campaigns with our Seize the Awkward campaign, which you can look up at seizetheawkward.com. There's great work happening there as well. So we're very grateful for all that they do to prioritize mental health and suicide prevention as well at their school. And we've had some campus walks and other events at other local high schools throughout the state. So we're very grateful for everything that those schools do. And if you're here with us today as a loss survivor, if you've lost someone to suicide, we are with you and know that there is always support, and you can visit afsp.org/Michigan for more information specifically about suicide loss. We also want to recognize people that have lived experience today, and lived experience refers to someone who struggles with their own mental health. At AFSP Michigan, we have 3 amazing young adults who all suffer with their own mental health, but now they know how to manage it. And those struggles began in high school, and so they knew that it was something that they had to learn how to manage. And so we are going to hear a very powerful video from Sarah, Caroline, and Vicki, all talking about lived experience.
Hi everyone, I'm Vicki, and I am the Michigan Chapter Board Secretary, and I live with anxiety and depression, and I've been hospitalized for being suicidal.
My name is Sarah, I'm a board member, the social media ambassador, and I live with depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder.
I'm Caroline. I'm the volunteer coordinator and a board member. I battle depression and anxiety.
We want to thank everyone who's joined us today. To those who've lost someone, we stand with you.
Those of you who support the cause of suicide prevention, we stand with you.
And those who fight mental illness, we stand with you. Thank you for your bravery and strength to join us. We acknowledge you and we're here to support you and show you hope and healing.
While everyone's journey with mental illness is different, it's important to know that you're not alone. We want you to know that there is help and there is hope.
While it can be scary to talk about your mental health, it is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness.
We want to create a culture in society that is smart about mental health, where it is not stigmatized and it is viewed just the same as physical health.
It should be just as normal to talk to a doctor about your emotions as it is heart disease or diabetes.
We hope that by sharing our stories, by talking about mental health, by showing people that there's nothing to be ashamed of, we can bring hope to those who fight mental illness and to those who support someone who struggles.
We hope that this encourages people to have real, honest conversations about their mental health.
If you're struggling right now, please reach out to someone you trust. It can be a friend, family member, or even a doctor.
If you're having suicidal thoughts, please call the Crisis Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or text 741-741.
And both of these are available 24/7. If you're worried about someone in your life, please reach out to them. Showing them that you care and love them and are willing to help them seek the support that they need can be a life-saving step.
Our mental health is so important, now more than ever, as we face challenges that we've never faced before.
But although it's hard to be together physically, there are still so many ways to stay connected.
Once again, thank you for joining us today, and please remember, you are not alone.
You are loved. You matter. There is hope.
We are stronger together.
And now we invite you to walk with us today. While we can't all be together in person, you are very much a part of this large collective voice for change. And know that as you're out walking today in your community, whether it's in your neighborhood or in a town or a favorite park, that you are not alone and that you are walking with so many other people who are there to support you, whether you're a lost survivor or if you're struggling yourself. And while you're out walking today, please take photos of your walk and tag us and use the hashtags that you see on your screen, Hope Walks Here in AFSP Michigan. We would love to see the photos of you out today. Maybe even grab some sidewalk chalk, leave a message of hope for someone to find, and try to find some peace and enjoy this day and know that you are supported. And if you are a student, know that there is help and there is always hope and you are never alone. So we thank you so much for joining us and enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.